Welcome back to the US Bank Podcast, Embedded Experience Lounge. We're excited to have Ian Drysdale join us for our last episode today. Thank you, Ian, for being with us.
Thank you, Mike.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about One Inc., how you guys started, what you're trying to do within the industry?
Right. So One Inc. started by creating great software for insurance carriers and insurance agents. And we quickly pivoted to where the demand was. And the demand was to provide great insurance payments for both premiums and claims for the most complicated use cases. We now have almost 300 insurance carriers nationally that are leveraging One Inc. and in many ways leveraging embedded payments in the US Bank ecosystem.
I've got to say, the growth and the overall experience you offer to the insurance carriers is amazing. One of the things that amazes me most is the complexity of the payment flows within the insurance industry, especially property and casualty. What have you guys done? How are you operating to be able to bring such a great experience to the carrier?
Right. So I'll give you two examples of how complex it can get. Let's say there's $50,000 or $100,000 damage to your home because of a hailstorm or a tornado or a flood. Typically, the check that would come traditionally would be written to both you and to your mortgage bank, whoever holds the note on your home. And it can take a bank 4 to 8 weeks on average to get that check approved, even though you've already signed it the day that you got it. And meanwhile, there's a hole in your roof, there's mold growing. You're a very, very unhappy customer. With One Inc., we can digitally determine who the mortgage bank is, ensure that they sign off all within 24 hours so that you can move on with your life.
Yeah.
Another example would be total loss on a vehicle. So about 28% of all auto accidents result in a total loss. Oh. And the payment flows change and become entirely different. So the insurer has to be paid off. They have to get a new vehicle. And if there's a loan on the vehicle, there needs to be a digital lien payment so that that person can move on with the rest of their life, so the insurer can have that car off of their books. We enable that across the industry.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I recently had a pipe break at my house.
Yes.
The insurance company that we're with, they ended up sending a check over to me. I didn't know what to do with the check.
What's the check?
I know. I haven't had one of those for a long time. And then I had to get a contractor and find all the work to do to be able to make it through the progress. And that was both for the mold remediation as well as for the rebuild. It was a horrible experience.
It's terrible. And what we offer now is a world where if we're paying the claimant, paying you personally, 98% of the time you're going to choose a digital solution, whether it's PayPal, whether it's Venmo, whether it's push to debit, whether it's ACH, whether it's FedNow or RTP. You're going to be immediately looked after and immediately satisfied. Many times we actually pay a vendor. So we pay an auto body shop, or we pay a home repair company or a glass company. We have those in the One Inc. network of 1.1 million vendors where they have pre-decided how they are going to be paid digitally. We send them the attachments, that is the documentation around your claim, and your car, your home, or if it's medical, such as workers' compensation, you are in much better shape and faster and more quickly, leveraging the power of embedded payments at US Bank.
Yeah, you know what I find interesting too? The insurance company I have, many of them do this. They have a little claims app. You can go in and see the status of your claim, but it has nothing to do with payment unless they work with you. And they bring you to the table and change it around. So from a US Bank perspective, I've got a lot of motivation personally and in the industry to be able to help with that. So why don't we talk about that a little bit? You and I have been working together now for a few years.
Yes.
What brought US Bank and One Inc. together? Why is that important to you?
So I believe that US Bank really sees that integrated payments, embedded payments are what everybody expects. When you think of Uber, you don't think about who the payment processor is for the person driving the car. It's completely built in. It's completely seamless. And I think that the industry today and leaders like US Bank have bought into the fact that embedded payment capability is what is driving the future. So insurance is one of the largest markets in the world. There are $12 trillion of payments made globally, about $2 trillion in the US alone. And leveraging your capabilities and ours, we're able to handle the most complex use cases in a way that satisfies the most number of consumers as fast as possible. Currently, we're delivering $350 million per day, and that's growing right now at about 40% per year.
It's amazing. And that's, from a US Bank perspective, we've been very passionate about bringing embedded payments to the market. Not necessarily being the front of everything, but being invisible behind the scenes, working through partners like you. That fintech experience is really important to us because you have an ecosystem where you solve problems and you create great experiences. And you need the stability and strength of a bank that can be there for you to not only manage the money flows, deal with the deposits, but also make a great client experience. And so that's you've actually been a foundational tenet to why embedded payments was important to us. We've appreciated that partnership as we've moved along. How have they improved your performance and your overall experience with these embedded payments?
Right. So it's incredibly important to us dealing with two very regulated industries, both banking and insurance, that we do everything correctly, that we do it the right way. And US Bank has enabled us from a regulatory perspective to quickly do know your customer, that's KYC, and AML, anti-money laundering, in a digital speed forward way. In which our insurance clients can quickly get approved for electronic payments. US Bank also offers virtual accounts, virtual checking accounts, which allow us to quickly reconcile and set up new accounts for very, very complex insurance carriers. Even our smallest carriers are doing $100 million of policies a year. So everything we talk about is volume, whether it's transactions or the dollars that flow through, and complexity. And US Bank has allowed us to simplify that in order to ultimately create a better experience for the consumer as well as for the insurance carrier.
Do you think that payments are changing the landscape in the way that we're interacting with consumers and businesses like insurance carriers today?
Well, they certainly are in insurance. So I think that we all know that 20 years ago, e-commerce changed everything. And we used to go to Blockbuster Video, and now we use Netflix or Disney Plus, right? And in shopping, we used to go to Sears or Kmart, and now we go to Amazon or we go to eBay, right? This transition in insurance has been later, and it's because it's a more conservative industry, it's more regulated, and frankly, it's much more complex. So we believe that we're able with electronic payments to provide an infinitely better solution where people are no longer saying the check's in the mail, but instead they instantly and are digitally rewarded by the conversation with their claims adjuster that they can move on with their lives. On the premium side, once they sign up with Apple Pay or Google Pay or PayPal or Venmo or however they're paying, they will be able to pay digitally. Their credentials will be automatically updated over time, so they don't have to worry about that in their wallet, and they will be alerted as to everything that happens. So we're bringing the modern world, which changed 10 or 20 years ago in e-commerce and other areas, in insurance to that more modern format.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting you mentioned Blockbuster. I was trying to explain to my children the thrill of being able to go to Blockbuster and walk up and down the aisles and look for videos that you could rent. And I have no idea what that even means or why that would be important. And it's interesting, too, if you look at the landscape of how payments used to work within those use cases. Payments was always a back office function for a company. We're now using, with you and others, payments to be a consumer forward or a front office function that allows you as a company to differentiate, because payments are embedded into your experience, allows you, the insurance carriers, as well as all of the consumers and those that are claimants to be able to have a much better experience. I think our generation right now is an on-demand generation. They expect things to work 24/7. They expect to be able to give what they need in that time frame. And I really appreciate the fact that that's the way that you operate as a company too. So maybe on that front, tell me a little bit about what you and the great minds at 1Inc see coming up in the future. Like, where are we going next, and what are the big things we want to try to tackle?
Right. So there are so many complicated use cases in insurance. We recently did a deal with Copart, which is a leader in salvage, and they have about 55% of the salvage market, and they pay off tens of billions of dollars in lien holders annually. So we are speeding that up. We announced yesterday that we are opening the Canadian market, and we will certainly leverage US Bank for the Canadian market. We are going to be providing new solutions that are instant and wallet friendly for catastrophes. So when a major hurricane, I know there's a hurricane right now called Michelle in the Caribbean that is unfortunately affecting Jamaica. But if a hurricane like that affects Texas or Louisiana or Florida or the Carolinas, we are going to be able to digitally and immediately get money to those claimants in that environment. So if you think about insurance, what is insurance? Insurance is people coming together to manage a payout or a situation that they couldn't handle on their own, right? So if I buy a $50,000 car and I don't have $50,000 in the bank and I total my car, what am I going to do? Well, the insurance company is going to take care of that. They're making a bet that I'm not going to total 4 cars this year, that maybe I'll total one every 10 or 20 years, right? So we're all looking after each other. So this is promise of insurance, but it's a very tense, very stressful situation when you have an insurance claim. And we all know that that's the moment of truth in insurance, that there's a moment for the promise of insurance to come forward and to be realized. And with digital electronic payments, we can authenticate the payment, we can authenticate the user, the policyholder, make sure that they're looked after in time of stress. Mm-hmm. And if their house is no longer there, or their car is no longer there, or maybe their job isn't there, or they're injured as a worker, that cash will be there and be there instantly and immediately and reliably and in a regulatorily forward way.
I agree. And, I look at the insurance industry, especially property and casualty. You see a lot of friction. And there traditionally has been those that are consumers like me that say, my goodness, I thought I've been paying my premiums and being a good person all these years. And then there's friction at the point of when you need them the most. What I love the most about what One Inc. is doing is you're looking now and in the future of how do you remove that friction and make it a great experience. So it's a consumer first, a people first, mentality. And that's really where U.S. Bank is also trying to go. Not only with insurance payments, we see this going into healthcare. We see it in title transactions when you're getting a big new transaction with a house. So we're very excited to have been able to partner with you, look forward where we go. I think in the future, there's obviously going to be more payment rails. We have real-time payments that have come about. You have all the discussion about stablecoin, what's that's going to do. I think as leaders, we'll be looking ahead to the future and trying to figure out how does that help solve friction. For now, got to say I appreciate all that you guys are doing.
Great. Well, we appreciate the partnership very much, Mike, and we look forward to changing insurance together.
Thank you. And thank you again for joining us. And that's it for today for our podcast with One Inc. and Ian Drysdale in the U.S. Bank podcast booth. Thank you very much.